So I think the main takeaway that I can sort of think about for this show is bloated. Hello and welcome to FCTR, I am Hugh McQuaid, and today we are talking about Ring of Honor Final Battle 2023, the final Ring of Honor pay-per-view of this calendar year, topped off with a big title match between Athena and Billie Starks. But before we get into my review, please hit subscribe, please like this video, please comment your thoughts down below on what you thought of the show, and I'll try and apply to every single one of them as we talk about Ring of Honor. So Ring of Honor, if you've been watching for as long as I imagine you have of my videos, you probably know that I don't watch Ring of Honor weekly, but I do tune in for their pay-per-views because I think their pay-per-views are, to quote Ryan Gosling, sublime. They usually have some of the best wrestling in the world, and for just sort of 3 breezy hours, really good in-ring storytelling and in-ring wrestling. Final Battle, to me, was a perfect 3-hour show. However, as comes with Tony Khan and sort of his mindset behind booking pay-per-views, it was rammed full. Absolutely rammed full. If you include the pre-show, there were 14 matches on this card. 14 matches. That is excessive. The main card itself was 4 hours long. That is like, I know AEW pay-per-views tend to stray longer, but that's long. That is long, particularly with Ring of Honor, not a massive crowd gathered to watch Final Battle. It made some of the pay-per-view feel like a slog. Now, I don't want to come across that I'm down on Final Battle. I think it is a very, very strong pay-per-view, but it is long. It was a long card, and I did feel the length in some of the matches, because it was just long. It was just really, really long. And I think Ring of Honor really thrives as a leaner, more streamlined, focused show. I think Ring of Honor should adapt the NXT TakeOver style, where they were like 2.5 hours, 5 matches, boom, you're done. I think Ring of Honor could really thrive in doing that. Having it be this huge, massive supercard didn't land for me in particular, but it was a really strong show. I'm not 100% down on the show. I thought some of the matches, my God, we'll talk about some of the matches. I thought some of the matches were great, but the overall just presentation and the length of the show really harmed Final Battle, in my opinion. So we're going to dive into the review. We're going to talk about my thoughts on every match, every angle, everything that happened, the way a review works. Starting off, I did not watch the pre-show. I did not. I saw it was 5 hours long and I was like, I am not watching the pre-show. No. So I did not watch the pre-show. Some stuff may have gone down on the pre-show. I don't know. I am unfamiliar. Other than Daniel Garcia wrestled a match. That's why I know what happened on the pre-show. But the first match of the show was Black Taurus taking on El Hijo del Vikingo for the AAA Mecca Championship. This was a goddamn banger. This is what I like to see out of my Ring of Honor. The great, awesome, fantastic luchador match, which seems to be a staple of Ring of Honor now. I'm pretty sure every show that has been for the sort of the past year and a half has had a great lucha style match, and this was that match as Vikingo took on Black Taurus. Black Taurus, my God, he can wrestle. He should be a mainstay on AEW Ring of Honor TV, because they had a really good match, and I really liked the little man, big man story of this match, and then Black Taurus would just pull off an insane move. That's the way this match really worked, was just Black Taurus pulling out insane move after insane move after insane move, and then Vikingo trying to one-up him by doing even more insane moves. I love Vikingo. I think he's really, really good. I do feel like some of his offense, 80% of it works. The other 20% does look a little bit messy, but when he pulls it off, my God, does it look beautiful. There was an awesome sort of Samoan drop that Black Taurus did. He yeeted absolutely yeeted Vikingo up in the air and caught him in this really fast-paced sequence in this Samoan drop, in which I thought Vikingo legitimately hurt himself. He was selling it really, really well. And then they just blitzed everything. Absolutely everything. Top rope gorilla press from Taurus looked insane. The height that he got on that. There was a sick backbreaker combo where he hit him with a sort of inverted Samoan drop backbreaker, then into a powerbomb backbreaker. Taurus was my favourite part of this match. Like, I kind of wish he'd won the title because he was so goddamn impressive in this. But ultimately, Vikingo picked up the win with a huge Meteora and a 630. He basically hit a 720 to the outside. He hit some insane feats of athleticism in this match, and I don't want to seem like I'm down on him, but Black Taurus was my favourite part of this match. He was a revelation, an absolute revelation, and I loved watching them wrestle. This was a really hot way to open the main show. Then we got the Mogul Embassy taking on TMDK, the Mighty Do Not Kneel. Mighty Don't Kneel, you know what I mean. It is what it is. This was, I think, heavily like, I felt like the New Japan vibes from this match, and I mean that in the way it was, structured, because New Japan shows have sort of big 6-man tag team match. Obviously you've got the trios title, but it felt a little bit inconsequential, a little bit, let's get these guys on the show, let's get the Mogul Embassy on there, they are the Ring of Honor tag champs. But this was a really good match. It was a really good 6-man match. I enjoyed the Gates of Agony. I enjoyed them playing off stuff that had happened in World Tag League. I enjoyed Brian Cage, because I always enjoy Brian Cage. And I love Shane Haste as well. Shane Haste is so underrated, and he sold a lot of the beating. He got beaten a lot in this match. But ultimately, it wasn't the most entertaining match I've ever seen. I think it was a standard, it was a fitting AEW Dynamite main event. Really good in that regard, but didn't blow me away, didn't add anything story-wise. Mogul Embassy won. That's about it. The finishing sequence looked great, where Gates of Agony just hit all their moves and then Brian Cage finished it off. That looked really cool. I'd just like to see some depth to that. I thought we'd be getting that with Hangman and the Bucks winning the belts, but seemingly not. So, yeah, it was a pretty standard 6-man tag. Then we got probably my hottest take of the show, and that is this I Quit match between Tony Nese and Ethan Page. Going into the show, I was very excited for this, because I feel like I haven't seen an I Quit match in years. So I was like, okay, this is going to be exactly what I'm looking for in terms of, brutality and really playing off this blood feud. But then it sort of wasn't tonally consistent in my opinion. I don't feel like the story, which I know Tony Khan loves his lawyer-based story, but this Mark Sterling story justified this. You've got the opening spot where they're getting protein powder thrown in Ethan Page's face. You've got Mark Sterling constantly getting involved. I feel like the match was good. It was a good I Quit match. I feel like the story needed more. It needed more urgency and more sort of, I don't know, I just feel like the story they told in the video package and in the weeks leading up to this and the Mark Sterling stuff wasn't good enough to justify the match, if that makes sense. I don't know, it's very weird. It's very weird matches. I thought it came across as a little bit goofy and a little bit comical. Like, I liked, obviously, there was a lot of brutality in there. Tony Nese's back looked a right mess. Ethan Page busted open. You got the big F-bomb at the end. But yeah, something about this just did not click for me in terms of an I Quit match. And I liked the return. So Scorpio Sky came back to assist Ethan Page, Men of the Year. Remember them. And from there, he ran off Mark Sterling, and then you got a little bit of match after, in which Tony Nese handcuffs Ethan Page. But then when Ethan Page gets the upper hand, the ref uncuffs him. Then you can't do that in an I Quit match. Why would the ref do that? That's clear, blatant favouritism, because anything goes in an I Quit match. And then Ethan Page picked up the win. I thought that was a bizarre finish Really bizarre finish, because Scorpio Sky was right there. Scorpio Sky could have unhandcuffed Ethan Page, not the ref. That makes the ref look, like a dick. It makes me feel bad for Tony Nese. But yeah, Ethan Page picked up the win by choking using the handcuffs and choking out Tony Nese, which was cool, which was good. I just feel like, it's something more. I feel like I wanted more from this, but the story didn't come together as a cohesive whole, in my opinion. Then we got something that I did really, really like, and that was the survival of the fittest match, as Dalton Castle took on Lee Johnson, took on Lee Moriarty, who took on Commander, who took on Brian Keith, who took on Kyle Fletcher for the vacant Ring of Honor Television Championship. So a survival of the fittest match is weird. I didn't know what a survival of the fittest match was. I thought it was just a six-pack challenge, 6 people in there. But no, it is a elimination match where 4 people stand on the edge of the ring waiting to be tagged in, and 2 people wrestle. Weird. I've not seen that before, and that was my biggest negative coming out of this match, was the stipulation. It's just a bit dumb. Why would you tag in? If it's elimination, why on earth would you tag in? And then going forward, tags weren't even being referenced. It was just a 6-pack challenge where people were getting eliminated. So it's very bizarre stipulation, but the match itself was really, really good. Dalton Castle was being very, very funny, playing up stuff with the boys, getting yeeted out of the ring left, right and centre. I thought Lee Moriarty was a standout in this match. He was fantastic in this match. He picked up 2 straight eliminations back-to-back, eliminating Lee Johnson and Dalton Castle, which I thought was really, really good. He come on leaps and bounds. I hope Shane Taylor Promotions and him sort of get pushed up towards AEW, because I think they're both great. We'll talk about Shane Taylor in a little bit. And then, really great showing from Kyle Fletcher and Commander. And I think the biggest takeaway from this match is Kyle Fletcher. Obviously, Kyle Fletcher won. He won by eliminating Commander. And the brief run that those two had at the end of this match was goddamn fantastic. They just beat the piss out of each other with crazy move after crazy move after crazy move. Commander running the ropes, Commander hitting a 450 splash on the apron, hitting another 450 splash for a sick near fall. Kyle Fletcher hitting a brainbuster on the turnbuckle, which was ludicrous and looked insane. And Kyle Fletcher eventually picking up the win with a arm-wrapped tombstone. Loved it. I love this. Kyle Fletcher, he was the one I was rooting for going in, because I love Aussie Open. I think he's going to do great with the Ring of Honor TV Championship. I hope he gets a lot of screen time, and not just AEW, but on Ring of Honor as well, because Samoa Joe wasn't showcased like him. He dropped the belt, for crying out loud. I hope he's really showcased in this role, and I hope he doesn't lose it soon like he did with the Ring of Honor tag titles. I'm so pleased for him, so happy. And this was a really great 6-man match. Aside from the bizarre stipulation, it was really awesome, and I'd go out of your way to check this one out. So if you watched the show, you probably realised that I forgot to talk about this match, and that was Nyla Rose versus Vixen. I don't even want to talk about this, because why on earth was this on the show? Like, why on earth put this on? A squash of all things. Nyla Rose just squashed Vixen, and that's it. I know why it was there. Clearly they're setting up Athena versus Nyla Rose, but you didn't need to do this on pay-per-view, because it's a waste of time. A waste of time. Forgettable. Yeah. Didn't need to be there. Next up, we got the match for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship, as Wheeler Yuta took on Filthy Tom Lawler. This was good. I like pure wrestling matches. It's not my favourite Pure Rules match. I much prefer the one Yuta had with Shibata and sort of the Garcia stuff as well. I think this was okay. They told a fine enough story. Lawler was working over the arm, Yuta was working over the leg, and that was Yuta's sort of kryptonite, was his arm. It really was his arm, and getting locked in a lot of arm submissions. But ultimately, both closed fists were used, which I think was very interesting. The dirty method, if you will. And yeah, Yuta eventually picked up the win by rolling up Tom Lawler. It was a close one. Some of the rope breaks were exhausted. Some of the stipulation, was adhered to. But yeah, Yuta sort of scraped by this. And I think we'll probably get something New Japan Strongy with Wheeler Yuta and Tom Lawler sort of capping this feud off. Or not capping this feud off, sort of continuing this feud rather. But it looks like we're getting something else, because it looks like they're going to shake hand. Looks like they're going to adhere to the code of honor, but instead Wheeler Yuta kicks Lawler in the dick. Hook comes out, and he also gets kicked in the dick because Wheeler Yuta is a bastard. So yeah, I like this angle. I like heel Wheeler Yuta. I think he's really good at playing like a dickhead. I just think he's good at that. And yeah, I'm excited to see what the Pure Championship does next. I want to see Gresham back. It's probably never going to happen, but I'd love to see Gresham back in Ring of Honor and squaring with Wheeler Yuta. That'd be my pitch. I'd want that to happen. Then we got the big old hoss fight. Shane Taylor versus Keith Lee. This was class. I loved this. I love the way Keith Lee moves. He moves like a mech from Pacific Rim, where the size dictates the speed. So it looks like he's moving slow, but actually he is moving slow. He's just going to hit you with a lot of power. I love the way he works. I love Shane Taylor. Shane Taylor's great. He's so awesome. And this match was class. Shane Taylor hit him with a top rope Canadian destroyer. And it was perfect. Perfect. Down to the last minute detail. It was class. The only issue I have with this match was the weird interference from Lee Moriarty, because you made Lee Moriarty look really strong. He got 2 eliminations in the survival of the fittest, and then Keith Lee sort of just swats him away, hits a spirit bomb, and gone. He's gone. So yeah, that was a bit weird, but the rest of this I thought was so good. They were hitting each other so hard, big clubbing strikes, big power moves and speed moves from Keith Lee, because he's a big, agile man. And he eventually picked up the win. He catches Taylor with, I still call it the ground zero. I know they've given it another name, but he hits the ground zero on Shane Taylor for the 1, 2, 3. I'd love to see these two back as a tag team again. Maybe put them on AEW TV and have them go for the tag belts. That'd be sick. I'd love to see them back together. I really enjoyed this. It's so nice to see Keith Lee wrestle. So happy. Next up, we got the Blackpool Combat Club taking on FTR and Mark Briscoe. This went like half an hour. This was really, really long. I think justifiably long, because I get what they wanted to do with this. I just don't think this was necessarily for me. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed Dax staring down someone who's sitting on a phone at the front row. I thought that was funny. And yeah, it started off like a standard 6-man tag. Pretty good. FTR, they're really good tag team wrestlers. Obviously, Blackpool Combat Club, great tag team wrestlers. And then it gets thrown out. Because they're brawling too much. The Chaos is losing control. And then Mark Briscoe announces it will be a fight without honour, in which you get carnage. And that is when the carnage ensues. And the carnage bit was my favourite bit of the match. I think if it had just been sort of a fight without honour, I would have preferred it more, rather than having the lead up of just a standard 6-man tag. Because they did some crazy stuff. Really crazy stuff. Mark Briscoe got yeeted onto a barbed wire ladder, and I believe it was Moxley also, he got pile drivered through a table with thumbtacks on it, which looked gnarly to say the least. So I really enjoyed the hardcore stuff in this. I enjoyed, the Blackpool Combat Club being dickheads and really working like wolves, like singling someone off and working over them, And eventually, it was Mark Briscoe who made the comeback. He made the comeback, fought off all the Blackpool Combat Club, and managed to hit a brutal J Driver on Bryan Danielson onto some chairs for the win. Whether you want to be pinning Danielson while he's in the Continental Classic is another question. But I think it all works. I think that's fantastic. Really cool. And it was a fun 15-minute match that... No, let me take that back. It was an awesome 15-minute match that I think was hampered by the little bit at the start. My personal opinion, but that's just me. Then next up, we got this weird proving ground match with Eddie Kingston taking on Anthony Henry. This had a 10-minute time limit and was literally only there to sort of cool the crowd down before the main event. I wasn't a fan of this. I just don't really see the point. I think sort of the thing with Eddie's story, at least, is that he's losing in the Continental Classic. Having this 10-minute match where he beats, no offense, a little bit of a jobber. I don't want to say jobber, but enhancement maybe, was just a bit, why? Which is added nothing. If anything, it's given Eddie a credible win and sort of, ruined a bit of the Continental Classic story of his losing streak. But that's just me. He won by submission. That's okay, I suppose. I didn't see the point in this. I know it sounds like I'm really down on this show, but I waited to watch Final Battle before recording my favourite matches of the year video, and I'm glad I did, because I think a match has just snuck in to the top 10, and that was the Final Battle main event. Athena taking on Billie Starks for the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. I loved this match. I thought this was so good. I watched the 3-hour video that Ring of Honor put up on their YouTube channel, sort of, exploring this story, showing all the segments between Billie Starks and Athena and the relationship that they have. I loved it. I loved this match. I thought it was so unbelievably impressive. The story that they told, the brutality that they brought to this match, and the character work was just sensational. Absolutely sensational. The plucky underdog of Billie Starks taking on this absolute machine who just wants to get the best out of Billie Starks, but in the most maniacal way. I love it. I absolutely love it. I think Athena is so good, and they just beat the ever-loving piss out of each other. They hit suplexes on the floor, power bombs on the floor, electric chair drops on the apron, everything. Brawling into the crowd, throwing each other into barricades. It was honestly one of those brutal matches that I've seen that didn't involve sort of any weapon shots at all, with incredible near falls, absolutely incredible near falls. I think probably the best one was when Athena asked for the Ring of Honor Championship and Billie Starks drop kicks her into the rope. She sort of seesaws forward and hits her head on the tile, and then Billie Starks hits her finish for a very close near fall. That was so good. And then, it just kept going further with more impressive move. Athena could just not put her away, could not put Billie Starks away. You've got a great Kenny Omega-esque moment when Athena hits the despicable knee on Billie Starks for a kick out at 1. You know I love a good kick out of 1, and this was a good kick out of 1. But eventually, the fatigue and the emotion got the better of Billie Starks, and Athena wrapped her up in this really nasty looking submission and gets the submission win. I love this match. The outcome itself, I think maybe this was Billie Starks' time. Maybe should have pulled the trigger on Billie Starks, but Athena's run's been great. I think it probably will be Billie Starks who eventually dethrones Athena, but I think there's some more story you can tell in there, and that's sort of what was hinted at the end of this match when Athena wants Billie to be the minion. Billie Starks is like, what do you want from me? What do you actually want from me? And then they have the respect, raises the hand of Billie Starks. I think you could easily do this down the line. You could revisit the story and have Billie Starks be the one to dethrone Athena, because it's there. The story's there. The groundwork has been laid, and this was an absolutely fantastic match. My favourite match of the show, probably by far. And that capped off Ring of Honor Final Battle 2023. I think it was a good show. I don't think it was great. I think the bloat and the sort of it being put on Honor Club made them go a bit wild with the amount of matches that they put on and the amount of people they featured. But there was a lot to like on this show. The main event, the opener, survival of the fittest, the 6-man tag with BCC and FTR and Mark. There was a lot to like on this show. It was just packaged in a really bloated way. It wasn't trimmed down. It wasn't lean enough for me personally in my taste. So overall, I give it a 3 out of 5. But that main event is chef's kiss perfection. Let me know everything you want down in the comments below, and I'll try and apply to every single one of them. Did you like the show? Did you not? Let me know everything you want. Thank you all ever so much for your support, and have a nice day.